Welcome to the Nagual Zone. I am Anaam. Today we are talking about something very, very useful, very functional. I have come across at the very least, a lot of books, self-help courses. Tantra is the big one. Tantra courses, Tantra workshops. How to have some measure of sanity in your relationships, right? Especially romantic relationships, so-called romantic relationships. For warriors, it's the mating instinct, wanting to be honored. Otherwise, there would be no humans left after a while, because sex is a fucking hassle most of the time. So there's a lot of this material out there. And if this material actually worked, or actually, I'm sure it does, but if people actually were able to apply it effectively, then why is the average man's consensus insanity so severely dysfunctional when it comes to relationships with each other? Right? Valid question. On the other hand, and again, this is not to imply that, warriors are some kind of, no, it's simply because warriors are very clever, foxy mofos, right? Warriors, when the average man is busy with nonsense in their life, warriors go about with great sobriety and pragmatic wisdom to figure out, how can I make this moment functional for me? How can I make this useful for me, right? So warriors are using their energies very differently than the average man. And that makes all the difference. Warriors use their time, resources, and energy radically differently, which gives the impression that they inhabit a separate reality. And in a sense, it is true. Now, in the warrior's world, warriors are concerned about one thing and one thing alone when it comes to relationships. And that word starts with I. And I'm not being like pedantic here, but the word is impeccability. Warriors seek to be impeccable in their relationships with themselves, with their surroundings, with fellow human beings, with animals, and whatever. Exactly where the average man's consensus insanity struggles is exactly where the warriors shine. They just, make it look easy. And that doesn't mean that it is easy. That means they make it look easy. Jimi Hendrix made playing guitar look easy. What we don't realize is that Jimi Hendrix was the kind of guy that and this is testimony, eyewitness testimony, that when someone would ring his doorbell, this is years and years and decades before he was famous, years before he was famous. You ring his doorbell and Jimmy would answer the door with his guitar slung on himself and just practicing scales whilst talking to you. He was basically eating whilst practicing. He was answering doorbells and talking to you. What do you want? Oh, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. Do you want to come to our church? Piss off, I'm playing guitar, right? That's what warriors can truly understand, that level of dedication to be impeccable in playing guitar, right? We can all understand that. What warriors do is they bring that attribute and apply it to the entirety of their life, not just guitar playing or painting or whatever, some art or your job, right? The whole life, everything, which obviously means relationships, because relationships are one of the biggest investments a human makes in terms of their time, energy, and resources, correct? So you have this weird situation where one of the biggest investments of time, resources, and energy for a human being is the most dysfunctional, insane return on investment. And you have the warriors, genuine ones at least, who have existed and exist in this world. They make it look easy. Now let's create a foundation for what I would like, the paradigm I'd like you to introduce to you. And the first thing you have got to understand, it's obvious it's like Sherlock Holmes, once he was saying how did he deduce all of that, Watson would go, but my dear Holmes, that was so easy, or how, so obvious. It's the same thing. It's obvious, but it doesn't occur to you. And I'll tell you what's obvious. When you, in terms of the average man, you as in whoever's listening to this video, when you encounter the word love in your head or outside of you, it actually has literally no functional meaning for you. For example, when you encounter the word spoon in your head or outside of you, you know what the use of that spoon is. What is that word? You know what to do with it, right? But when you encounter the word love inside of you or outside around you, you have no idea what to do with it. What do you do with it? Do you know what to do with it? You can't even wipe your ass with it. That's what. It's a useless word when it comes to reality, and you can look at your past relationships and verify the uselessness of that word, right? There are very few people who have existed in the history of this plane who have truly embodied and functionalized the word love. Very, very few. And no, they're not the saints that the church has told you. Those saints were real, they're rapists, they were in many cases pedophiles, all sorts of things. I'm not talking about the saints. There was nothing saintly about this death cult called Christianity. I'm not talking about the hugging woman in India or these gurus with beards who, strangely enough, seem to resemble the Christian idea of God in the sky. Same thing. Fucking old man with a white beard. All these gurus are old men with white beards. What's up with that? I don't understand. And why can't they just wear normal t-shirts and jeans like you and me and sneakers? Why do they have to do all this nonsense? It's because of a career, right? They're self-employed, like a massage therapist or a Reiki person, these are self-employed people. They have to look after their businesses. So they have their uniforms and their protocols. Not talking about these people do not understand love, just like you don't understand love. Warriors don't even bother with this word. I'll tell you the inside scoop on that one about Toltec warriors. They don't it's a useless word. What do you do with it? Can't do anything with it. Can't do anything with it. But what you can do is replace love with impeccability. Now suddenly it starts to make sense, right? You can't do anything with love. Your mind literally doesn't know what do I conjure? What magic do I produce with this word? There's nothing there. But as soon as you turn your mind, you give it the correct spell, impeccability. Now the magic has a channel. Your power has a channel to express itself properly. Does it make sense so far? Now, as far as love in terms of functional, real life use is concerned, we can replace that word with priority. Think about it. In real life functional terms, your relationships are concerned, you are concerned with prioritizing as far as your relationships are concerned. If you've got kids, guess who takes priority? If you do not prioritize them, you will admit that I don't love them. So love is a nice idea. Yes, you're a very loving person. You're fucking amazing. Good. But priorities is what this thing works on in real life. You can't argue with this. That's just the way it pans out, right? So first off, look at it from the warrior's perspective, which is cold, hard, sobriety, pragmatic, usefulness. What is useful to create impeccability, a flow of personal power and impeccability in my relationships, so that I feel blessed, others feel blessed, and I leave others and myself better than I found myself and others, right? I did a video on that. You can check that out. I forgot the title of it. Prioritizing. Now, in order of priority, guess what the average man does? The average man prioritizes everyone else in the name of love over themselves. Everyone else's kids take priority, husband, wife, whatever, or partner or girlfriend take priority over me. Otherwise, I don't love them enough. Right? Warriors think that is insane. There is no way you can get good results with that skewed priorities. And this is where the topic of today's video comes in. The real paradigm, the real secret to the warrior's way. Again, I've said it many times, whatever the machine mind has taught you, flip it right around and you get the right answer. You want answers to things? Flip around what you know. Literally. That's it. That's all you gotta do. So what do the warriors do? We flip this around on its head and we go, I love myself more than you. And that creates a flow of impeccability. And I'll explain to you exactly why. I love myself more than you. Imagine going on a date and sending those vibes out. I love myself more than you. It'll quickly separate the victims from the empowered. The victims will run from you. The empowered will love you, saying, I found a fellow human being who is not insane. And you will have a really great connection because both people are loving themselves over the other person. And now you have the correct way to connect. Think of it like this. We're having tea, right? You have come over, we're having tea here, and I have a teacup. I have 2 teapots, and I go, let's have some tea. Would you like to have some tea? You go, yes, I'd love to have some tea. I pour the tea into your cup from my teapot, and you can enjoy that tea. My teapot is full already. What I don't do is ask if you've got any tea on you. I don't do that, right? You think, what are you talking about? You invited me to tea. Shouldn't you be having a full teapot so we can have some tea, right? It doesn't make any sense if I say, well, bring your own tea and we'll have tea together. It doesn't work like that. Which means that if that tea contained love, if it was, say, love tea, and I'm going around asking you if you've got enough in your teapot to share with me, then it's not going to work. But if I love myself more than you, in other words, my teapot is full, I can now afford to give to you because I made sure that my teapot was full. I wasn't depending on you or someone else to come and fill the teapot. I made sure I made the tea myself. I brewed it properly because I want to make sure that the teapot is full. It's the same thing. I want to make sure that my love tanks are full. I prioritize me first. And then I can offer it out as a blessing to others. I love myself more than you. As soon as you do what the average man does, what Disney has taught you, and your fucking fairy tales that you grew up with, and Inky Pinky Ponky and all this nonsense, or nursery rhymes. It's all the same shit. And this idiotic Christian thing, love others more than yourself, or some idiotic stuff like that. All the religions have a variation of this nonsense, right? You have to flip this around. If you want to have right relationships, you have to flip this around. You got to love yourself first, more than your kids. And it's difficult. You got kids? Yeah, try loving yourself more than your kids. Try prioritizing you over your kids and see how difficult it is. It takes takes a lot of intent and a lot of practice, because you know, the first thing you like, oh, but the mating instinct will make you think that their survival is at stake. Nothing's going to happen to them. If you go get a massage for yourself, nothing's going to happen to your kids. If you start taking regular care of yourself, do kukua every day, or African dancing, or ballet, or whatever else you want to do, or don't go to gyms, just do your own thing at home, do yoga, whatever, and spend the entire day juggling between prioritizing you, next your kids. Ideally, it should be next your partner, then your kids. But if the kids are young, it's very, they need priority as well, right? Sometimes, and these priorities are fluid. They should be allowed to shift. But in an overarching perspective of your life, you have got to have 80% priority on you. You have got to do that. Whilst juggling shifts, sometimes the kids got sick. They definitely need priority over. You can't be getting massages when your kids are down, whatever, right? So of course it changes. But the overarching priority, you're a painter. Yeah, you can't be giving up your painting because you've got kids. Can't be doing that. You can't be giving up sculpting or dancing or skydiving or whatever else you like that nourishes you, that gives you energy, just because the partner doesn't like it, or boyfriend hates it, or some mother doesn't like it, or kids need it, or blah, 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 blah. Can't be doing that. In the overall flow of things of your life, you have got to love yourself more than anyone else. You have got to do this. That's the only time you'll have more than enough to give out. You'll feel fulfilled in yourself, and you'll be so much easier to be around. People will find it very easy to be around you, because you won't be subconsciously trying to demand from them what you have not given to yourself. So I love myself more than you is a way that warriors employ in order to create enough energy in their system so that it can be spilled out and others can benefit from it if they so wish. Otherwise, no skin off the warrior's nose, right? Of course, especially with children, it gets tricky. No doubt about it. Now, as I just explained, you have to be fluid. Apart from that, you got to love yourself more than your mother and father and your family, Christmas things, right? And bring an overflowing, fulfilled system, energy into the Christmas dinner, so that you're not engaged in their nonsense because you're lacking. You can afford to sit back and go, well, I've got plenty of tea for myself. I've got my tea, I'll just pour my tea, have my tea, and watch the drama unfold, because I don't need to be involved. I don't need any part of this energy. I have more than enough energy and personal power, and I feel satiated and fulfilled in my life right now. Therefore, you guys want to bicker, you want to do what you want to do, you can, you're more than welcome to do that. Or we can go with a very different feel where, you know, a holistic environment can be established. But it has to start with you creating a lifestyle of, I love myself more than you. And you know when that starts? That starts on the first date. Next time you go on a date, if you are in that position, take this paradigm with you. I love myself more than you. And watch the level of respect rise as that person gets to know you. And watch the level of inspiration that happens in them. They'll start feeling inspired. Like, wow, this person does not give the vibe that they need anyone in a needy way. You know, these are all subconscious stuff. A typical average man's consensus insanity date is two beggars meeting and begging with each other. Have you got a penny? I gotta get my fix. You got a penny, mate? And the woman's going, if you got a penny, I gotta get my fix. And they're both two beggars with their little begging bowls, right? But what if one of them didn't play that game and say, yeah, if I've got enough money in my bank, I'm not here to beg from you. If you are a beggar, you won't, you know, that's just not the game I play, because I have more than enough money in my bank. The same thing, I love myself more than you. My love tanks are full. My system is brimming with energy. My electric current is strong and alive in my system, right? And therefore I can engage with you. Either you rise up by inspiration and respect, you rise up to match that, or you walk away because you can't stand that vibration. That's how it works. That's what you have got to practice. And we're not talking about arrogance. You understand that warriors are expert hunters of their own self-importance. So we're not talking about, I love myself more than you in that way. We're talking about love as a priority of investment in energy and time, right? So investment in time, energy, resources, you're your first priority. If you've got kids, again, recapping, if you've got kids, that is manageable according to the situation, but the overarching graph has to show that you prioritized yourself over everything and anyone else, right? This is a basic flow. There are many nuances to that you can discover on your own by applying this, making mistakes, and refining the paradigm to work for you in your own unique way. With that, walk in freedom, and I shall see you next time.